Hey folks, welcome to East Bay Outside. I am at the Wood Family Winery in lovely Livermore, California, introducing Rhonda Wood.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great, Rhonda.
Good.
Thanks.
It's good to see you this morning.
Appreciate your time. So, wanted to begin by what? When did you begin making wine, and what drove you to make that decision?
That's a pretty good story. I used to be an airline pilot by trade, so I used to fly for U.S. Airways. And when I was pregnant with my firstborn, Harrison, who works here for us now, um, when I was pregnant with him, I had heard we couldn't fly airplanes anymore. So they told us as soon as we were pregnant, we had to stop flying. And instead of fighting that, I actually had three girlfriends that were pregnant pilots also. And one of them had some, they didn't want me to fight it. They were like, I got this house in Vail. We can ski down the slopes of, you know, and we did. Three of us went skiing together. Pregnant pilots can't fly airplanes, but we can ski. But I heard the old wives' tale that beer is good for the breast milk. So I had 9 months off. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? So I thought, well, homebrew's got to be better. So I started brewing beer. And after the kids were born, I had two kids, and after they were born and breastfeeding was done, I was like, well, I could start making beer. But my love was wine. So, and as far as drinking beer when you're pregnant, there's one a day and it's low alcohol.
Yeah.
So
So you started making beer, and then, but your true love was wine.
yes. So I was like, well, I drink more wine than I do beer. I should be making wine.
Mm.
So I planted 18 grapevines in our backyard. I lived in Fremont at the time. So I planted 9 Cabernet Sauvignon and 9 Zinfandel with the intention of learning how to make wine.
Mm-hmm.
It takes 3 years to get the grapes off the vines. And before the end of 3 years, I was out here in the Livermore Valley. I discovered the Livermore Valley for the first time. I was out here doing the Harvest Festival.
Wow.
And I had my kids in the strollers. My husband was at home. And I was going out to all these wineries, and it was like 14 at the time. And I was like, wow. And this is beautiful out here. And we're in the Bay Area. I mean, Livermore Valley is part of the Bay Area.
Yes.
And we get these cool breezes from the ocean, and we, cool off at night. We get warm during the day. So it's a beautiful Mediterranean climate. And I saw this property for sale. I saw, 20 acres of vineyard already planted for sale, and that was in what's called Crane Ridge Vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
Is where we live now. So I brought my husband out. He fell in love with it, and we bought the property.
Wow.
And that was back in 1995.
Wow. So it's been a while. You've been
Yeah.
really located in Livermore since '95,
Yes.
and producing wine since then.
I started home winemaking in 1996,
Mm-hmm.
and then I always say 2000 was our first commercial release.
Mm-hmm.
However, I did make one barrel of wine in 1998 at another winery in Bond, and then transferred it to our bond when we became bonded.
Wow.
So, yeah, so 2000, our first commercial wine, and just been making wine ever since.
So 23 years in this valley in the Livermore AVA.
Yeah, and for the most part, I did the wine. I made wine by myself
Mm-hmm.
in the little garage next to my house, and I could pick up the kids when needed, and I could drop them off, and I could go to games, and I could do all that stuff because I didn't have anybody that I had to manage.
Right.
So I did about up to 1,500 cases is what I grew to,
Mm-hmm.
doing it all by myself. And at that time, I was getting pretty tired of cleaning the tanks. So I hired an employee to help me clean the tanks. And, you hire an employee, and now all of a sudden you got to make more wine to pay for that employee. So that just continued to happen. And then until about 6, 7 years ago, 7 years ago, we actually moved into this warehouse because we outgrew the little garage. And we have two garages at our house. One is like a barn,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one is attached to the house. And we even use that for making wine. So it was at some point, it's like, we're busting at the seams, and building another winery just wasn't practical at that time. So we found this space here, and my son came to work for us. So now all of a sudden, I got to make more wine and pay for him.
So would you say that was a hobby that kind of went haywire and has become its
you
own
know,
business?
it was kind of a hobby at first, but then September 1st, before September 11th in 2001, I took a 30-day leave of absence. I decided that U.S. Airways was going bankrupt. They closed their base in San Francisco, so I decided I didn't want to commute to Pittsburgh or Philly any longer. I was doing that for a little bit. Wow. So I took a leave and a 30-day leave, and then 9/11 happened, and they gave me a 5-year leave of absence. So
Excellent.
I had basically 5 years that I decided, am I going to make a go of this? It's not going to be a hobby. This is going to be my career. So I had 5 years to decide if I wanted to continue on this, and it was going very well, and it kept going. So
Yeah.
yeah, it became somewhat of a hobby too. Yes.
A hobby that went haywire that's now
Yeah.
an actual
Right.
successful company.
Successful. Yes. Winery. We're doing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I will say that the Wood family supports local musicians by hosting shows here every Friday and
Also on Wednesdays.
on Wednesdays, yes, and then
Yes.
Saturdays as well, occasionally.
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah, we're doing a couple house concerts this year. 3 house concerts with local bands out there.
which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, what
On Friday night, we have Jack Quigley and Sold Out. Jack
nice?
Quigley Sold Out. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a real fun musician.
he is. He's a good
Yeah,
guy too.
yeah, he is.
What would you say inspires you, or what or whom inspires you?
Anyone that follows their passion.
Good for you.
Yeah, yeah. So I talk to so many different people when I see that they're passionate about something, whatever they're doing in life. That is definitely something that inspires me.
Yeah, that's
Always
nice.
has.
I think that also lends itself again back to the musicians because folks that are
Right?
gigging here are passionate about it, or we wouldn't be
Yes.
knocking on your door
Right?
asking for an opportunity.
That's the truth.
Kind of like what I'm doing here today. um, what do you think? What is your outlook on the future of the wine industry in the Livermore Valley? And are you concerned at all? I know there's been a lot of talk about the recent frost that we've had and the snow. Any concerns about that?
Not for us. I mean,
Good.
I'm looking forward to having lots of water. I'm hoping that we continue in future years that this isn't a one-off. But no, our vines are doing real well. So they're dormant right now. We haven't even pruned ours. We have mainly red varietals,
Mhm.
so maybe some of the white varietals might be a little bit more susceptible to the rains and stuff that are coming in.
Mhm.
You definitely want to prune a little bit later, so you don't get some of the diseases that can come with the water. But you can do other things to help with that. So
We haven't
yeah,
had any major flooding in any of the vineyards that I'm aware of in the Livermore Valley.
not that I have seen. No.
Our rolling foothills, I think, help with that water.
Yeah.
Future, do you think Livermore Valley wineries
I think
in
it's
general?
really exciting right now. We always have a great community of winemakers. Just the other day, we got together at one of the wineries and drank. Everybody brought their Cab Francs, and we shared Cab Francs. It was 6:30 in the evening, and we just 15 winemakers got together, talked about Cab Franc and how important it is and how well it does in the Livermore Valley, getting behind it and doing some fun things with it varietal on its own. We grow so many different varietals out here, and they all do so well.
Mhm.
So not everybody makes Cabernet Franc, but it does do really well here. Plus, there's just a lot of momentum going with different aspects and bringing in people from outside of the Tri Valley just to come visit the Tri Valley. We have a special place here that we have so many vineyards and so many other things to do as well. I mean, which is, and we've protected that. We
Yes.
had something called the South Livermore Valley Plan that has protected this area from being overrun with homes and to grow the vineyards. So it's a real special thing to be in the Bay Area and to have this agriculture here.
And mostly, for the most part, I would say the majority of the wineries in the Livermore Valley are family owned and operated. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like
There's what I've seen thus
maybe
far is 50 wineries, and I think the lion's share of those 50 are family owned and
yeah,
operated.
yeah. I'm trying to think of who's not.
Yeah, even the Wente family, even though
Oh,
it's
the Winchy family is
massive
the
estate, but
longest
yeah,
family-owned winery in the United States.
right.
Yeah, continuously owned. Yes.
Excellent. Anything else you want to share with our audience, Rhonda?
Come see our valley. We have lots of fun here. We make great wines, fantastic wines, and we really have a great community. It's just all about community here.
Awesome. Thank you for your
Yeah, and
time.
awesome musicians as well.
I appreciate that, and I can attest to the quality of especially the Cobb Franc. That is my favorite of yours.
Oh, thank you.
So much appreciated. Thank you
All
for your
right.
time, and East Bay outside.
Cheers.
Cheers.